The MBTA commuter rail is arguably one of the strongest in the United States when talking about scale, especially for a comparatively small city like Boston. But the system has often struggled with modernity, infrastructure quality, service quality, and more. But today, I would like to talk about one commuter rail line that stands out, a line you've probably never heard of. This is the story of how a temporary diversion turned the Fairmount line into Boston's best commuter rail route. The Fairmount line is the shortest commuter rail line in the system, traveling the 9 miles from South Station to Reedville Walcott Square. The line has 7 intermediate stations through Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park. But this line's history is very unusual, especially compared to the other routes on the system. The Fairmount line's history begins with an entirely different project, the Southwest Corridor. This forms the southernmost section of the Orange Line and the northernmost section of the Amtrak Acela Northeast Regional, as well as every commuter rail line that uses the Northeast Corridor. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the specific history of the Southwest Corridor, because it's quite complicated. But what you need to know is that the construction of this section of line required a diversion route to be provided for the commuter rail and Amtrak. Enter the Dorchester branch. The Dorchester branch splits off from the Northeast Corridor just south of Reedville Station, climbing a ramp and curving off towards Fairmount. This was very convenient because it intersects the Northeast Corridor just before the Southwest Corridor construction zone, enabling service to continue. The new branch served the Franklin-Foxborough and Providence-Stoughton lines of the system, along with Amtrak service that would have taken the Northeast Corridor otherwise. The new branch opened with stops at Fairmount, Morton Street, and Upham's Corner. But by 1981, both Morton Street and Upham's Corner were closed due to a lack of patronage. Fast forward 6 years to the completion of the Southwest Corridor. The MBTA is left with 2 separate routes into Boston, so the T switched gears, launching a new Fairmount line to coincide with the reopening of Morton Street and Upham's Corner. But it wasn't until 2013 when the Fairmount line really began to resemble its current self, when Talbot Avenue was opened. Later that year, 2 more stations were opened, giving the Fairmount line almost subway-like stop spacing. And with the addition of Blue Hill Avenue in 2019, the Fairmount line, as we know it today, was completed. So now that you know the history of the Fairmount line, what exactly makes it Boston's best commuter rail route? To find out, I hopped off the train at Blue Hill Avenue in Mattapan. This stop is less than a 10-minute walk from the Mattapan line's namesake station, making it a solid suburban connection, one of just a few in Boston. But the station at Blue Hill Avenue itself exemplifies many of the Fairmount line's unique and advantageous qualities. For starters, this station features electronic next train displays, which many commuter rail stations don't have. The stop also has solid wayfinding signage, posted atop this tasteful terrestrial topography. It's 100% accessible, thanks to these mammoth ramps at either end of the platform. There's decent shelter, under which you can find these fare validation machines, which you can tap your Charlie card on to validate your fare. Furthermore, these machines work in English, Spanish, and Chinese Mandarin. Blue Hill Avenue, while it isn't an exceptional station, is certainly the level of infrastructure quality I would expect to see on a full-blown metro line in North America. And this brings me to possibly the most exciting news about the Fairmount line. It is going to be the MBTA's next rapid transit service, or at the very least, it will be regional rail quality. because this line is set to be the first electric commuter rail line. Why it isn't the Providence line, which already has wires up, is beyond me. But this will truly put one of Boston's commuter rail lines on par with regional rail across the globe. And although 20-minute headways aren't ideal, all the hard work to grade separate the line is in the past, so the future is bright for Boston's shortest commuter rail line. Before long, we're running alongside the Neponset River and arriving at the final station on the Fairmount line, Reedville. And while Reedville is arguably one of the most unpleasant stations on the entire commuter rail network, it is a critical transportation hub, being a major junction point for the Foxborough Line, the Franklin Line, the Providence Line, the Stoughton Line, and even the Dedham Line in the past, whose tracks are actually still visible today. But this brings me to my final point about why the Fairmount Line is so important. Because it's bookended by two major stations, one of them being Reedville, and the other being South Station, the busiest stop on the entire commuter rail network. So this is the Fairmount Line, a little-known story about a little-known railway line, and the bright future it holds. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon, including one that explains the complex Reedville station layout. So huge thanks for all your support towards this fledgling channel, and I'll see you around.